I've spent years wondering, and I'm sure you have too, my wife and I go out and walk the dog, and it's like, well, why the hell was he in that neighborhood? And she's just like, if I have to hear about Stephen Koecher anymore, I'm gonna lose my mind. But like, why? It makes no sense why he was in that neighborhood. And I think that it also, he's seemingly in the Las Vegas area pretty early that day. So like he has 4 hours to kill. Let's just say he took that call at 8. I don't have the records in front of me right now, but let's just say he took that first call at 8 in the
Yeah, it was
morning.
8:52.
Okay, so 9 in the morning. He kills 3 hours. Like, what is he doing for 3 hours? It just, I don't, for an LDS kid who doesn't drink, smoke, or seemingly gamble, I don't know that there's a lot to do in Vegas at 8, 9 o'clock on a Sunday. So I don't know. It's a Yeah. And what I sort of gleaned from the records is, so what would happen with his phone is it would sort of check in with the tower. You get a new tower on the record when it would check in with a new tower. So that last check-in, that last 515 215 tower, it sat on that tower for days. It just checked in with that tower for days before, in my mind, the battery died.
Yeah, I drove out there. You saw it in the video. I drove out to that area, and it's kind of like an industrial area, a lot of vacant lots. I mean, that somebody could have just tossed the phone out the window.
Yeah, just right out the window, and it's never found. That's absolutely a possibility.
And you, on one of your posts on Web Sleuths, you posted the type of phone that Stephen had, and I'm going to put that up right now. I'm just going to put up a picture of the phone and a description of the phone. But yeah, that was really cool to see that. So thanks for posting that information.
Yeah, no problem.
On one of your Web Sleuths posts dated May 20th, 2010, you said that you saw the complete phone call log for Stephen from December 12th, 2009 through December 16th, 2009. Mm-hmm. And on that call log, you state that you saw 10 calls or texts, they could have been calls or texts, from Stephen's landlord between December 13th, the day Stephen goes missing, and December 16th. Is that correct? Do you remember anything about seeing that?
Right. So yeah, 10 calls. So what the document that I received shows is it also shows attempts. So it'll give a designation like a 1 if the call is completed, a 0 if the call is not completed, if I remember right. I'm not looking directly at it. But yeah, from December 13th to the 16th, the phone just basically stops communicating with the tower on the 16th. So that's my assumption, is that the battery died. And last call to the phone was from his employer. But during that time, yes, 10 calls from landlord.
Over the span of from the 13th through the 16th, 10 attempts.
Yes.
And those all showed up as zeros, obviously.
As I recall, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of activity from the landlord there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to comment on that at all, or.
I have opinions.
Okay.
And yeah, it's quite a lot of activity.
All right. I'll just leave it at that then.
Oh, you're good.
This is a interesting ping that showed up on your ping records that I'd never seen before. It's a ping that was dated December 12th, 2009. It pinged off a tower in Overton, Nevada.
Yeah.
Which is 80 miles from St. George. And this ping took place at 8:02 a.m., according to your records that you posted. This was fascinating to me because this doesn't show up on the AT&T phone call log. So I'm wondering if this is just one of those calls where it's just like a handshake, where it's just shaking hands with the tower and saying, hey, I'm here, rather than an actual call. I don't know. Could you shed some light on that?
This has always bothered me too. And the reason that this has bothered me is because it doesn't appear on the AT&T call. But the number comes from a bill collector. Yeah, Lending Solutions, if I remember right. Which I don't know why. So it doesn't show that, what I can say is I don't think that the call was answered. So that could be why it's not on the AT&T records. But yeah, it was a call that came to him.
Yeah, that one stood out to me. In all my years of looking at Stephen's case, I'd never seen this phone call until I saw it on your post on Web Sleuth.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I don't know what he was up to. I mean, it doesn't make sense for him to be in Overton. That's a straight shot down to Las Vegas. I mean, I can see his I can see his phone connecting to a tower that's actually located in Overton or nearby. It doesn't make sense why he would be in Las Vegas or even in the southern Nevada area and then go back to St. George and then back the next morning or late that evening. It's just his travel is so bizarre.
Do you think he had been to that neighborhood prior to when we see him on the surveillance there on December 13th? Do you think it's possible that he was there the day before, maybe, or previous to the day he went missing?
If you watch the video, I think that he slows down for a bump. Am I correct? For a bump?
Yes.
Road, like he's done it a couple of times before. It's not, bumps in the road in southern Nevada, their gutters are deep. When you hit these moving, you'll go flying sometime. I don't think it's out of the question that he had visited that neighborhood before. I think that that's very possible.
Yeah, that's what popped into my head first thing when I saw that Overton ping, was because Overton is, I Google mapped it. It's an hour and 15 from St. George, and it's an hour and 15 from Henderson. It's like dead in the middle of, so that to me really intrigued me, because I was like, okay, so we have him there at 8:00 on the day before he disappeared. Had he gone there the day before? And maybe that's why he kind of seemed somewhat familiar.
It's just such it's such a mystery. I wish I knew. He definitely, he connected to that Overton Tower, and connecting to that Overton Tower early in the morning. He couldn't have done it from home. He sure as heck couldn't have done it from St. George. I think it's certainly possible that he'd been there before.
In your opinion, what do you think happened to Stephen?
I've been thinking about that a lot since we started talking. I don't know how to answer that question. I feel like we can eliminate some things. I think that we can eliminate him coming to Las Vegas and committing suicide. I think that that's just that he would have been found by now. And then secondarily, like we've talked about, that area isn't somewhere where a person would just travel to then commit suicide. I think we can also eliminate him voluntarily disappearing. I think we eliminate that for similar reasons, but also because just in today's day and age, it is extraordinarily difficult to voluntarily disappear. Everything is electronic. And then you're in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is probably one of the most surveilled areas in the world. I think that he would have been found, or at least some evidence that he voluntarily disappeared would have found. So that leaves us with not a lot of options. I don't think that he's alive. I think that probably he came to a violent demise, and that really saddens me. And I think that law enforcement treated his case as a voluntary disappearance when they should have, and did backflips to make this a voluntary disappearance when all the evidence in my mind pointed to something dramatic. So I don't know what happened to him, but I think that I hope that someday we find out.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess how much you want to say, but what do you think it would take for the Henderson police to start taking his case seriously? Do you think people need to write to someone, or just like a public outcry? Or
I don't think that like all of us, law enforcement think that they're the best at their job. I think I'm the best at my job, etc. So outside influences are generally seen as being unwelcome. I don't know that a writing campaign or something like that would happen. I gotta say, I think that something physical, tangible that they can grab a hold of, that they can see, that shows what happened to him, is what will spur them into action. When I got the police reports, for example, I was very surprised at what was in the police reports. And it wasn't a good surprise. It was, how in the hell
Hmm.
Is this what's in the police reports? I know for a fact that things that I sent to law enforcement that I had discovered did not end up in their reports, which boggles my mind. I don't know if you've read the report involving Stephen's landlord. How is that not in the police reports? I sent it to both agents. I literally sent it to both agencies.
When did
And
you, sorry to interrupt, when did you send those to the police? Do you recall, like, what year?
it was probably a year after Stephen went missing that I got that
Uh,
report. I talked to the detective who did that case. He was I remember that detective. I think he was a lieutenant, and I wish I still had my notes on him, but I'm not seeing them. He was just so I don't even know. He was just so pissed off. I think that's the best way to describe at Stephen's landlord dodging that case. Yeah, it was something else. I mean, I don't know how you can have somebody who's under federal indictment or facing a federal charge, and you don't mention one word of it in the police report. To me, that's something that you have a conversation about that with that person. It's frustrating. I just don't know why. I don't know why a member of law enforcement hasn't made that call. Just make the call.
do you think with this report that's been, these multiple reports that have been put out into the public space, do you think that this has helped Stephen's case, or do you think it's made it more difficult solving this case?
I don't think it's made it more difficult. I think that if anything, it's just dredged up shed new light on the case, got people's interest in the case again. I'm hoping that people read the reports and have seen the reports and are able to discern what they feel they can discern from those reports, what little of the reports there are. I think it's good that they're out there. I
Okay.
think it's good that they're out there. I mean, it's been a decade. So let's talk
Yeah,
about
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, is that it's been 10 years. I mean, this case is
it.
ice cold.
Ice cold. I mean, that's a perfect way to put it. As I recall, and I'm not referencing the reports offhand, but as I recall, it's basically a closed case pending something new. If I'm not mistaken, that's what the last sort of notation in the reports from Henderson police is. That's sad. So I don't see why they shouldn't be out.
Yeah, when I talked to the sergeant there who's in charge of the cold case files at Henderson, this is a couple months ago, and he said new information has come into his office. It is now under review. That was his exact words, that the case is under review. I don't know if that's because of these documents being released.
Yeah.
But that was interesting that he would tell me that.
Right. And I'll just say, I mean, I pulled them up while we're talking, and January 22nd, 2013, Detective McKay writes case closure. He writes a notation
Wow.
closing the case. So the case will be closed pending any further development. And then there's a couple of notations after that, DNA comparisons, things like that. But I remember hitting that point when I first saw these and thinking, that can't be true. It's in black and white. I don't know. It boggles my mind, though. Yeah.
You did message me that his vehicle
Oh,
was fuel efficient. It was like a hybrid or something.
yeah. So this was something I actually found interesting because, like I said earlier, I never sort of equated him with being kind of a technological guy. Like, I'm a big, you know, technology, computers, automated homes, that sort of thing. That's really things that I like. But his car was actually powered by natural gas. I'd seen it around, but it was a Chevy Cavalier, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And it was powered by natural gas. And so what that ended up doing is you'll see in the case, as you'll see the receipts as he's sort of traveling around Utah and Nevada, these very small gas purchases, but they're for natural gas, and didn't cost a lot back then, and his car could go like 1,000 miles, or well, that's overstating. I want to say it was like 750 miles, or
Wow.
huge huge distances without having to refuel.
Yeah, that was a cool tidbit of information, because I've seen a lot of comments from people where they're like breaking down his car by the fuel efficiency and everything, and it's all based off of the factory issue
Right.
of the car, rather than what you're saying here that
Right.
it
Yeah,
was
it was
a hybrid.
CNG, powered by CNG. So it was just an alternative fuel car. And yeah, you go a long way with that.
Well, you've been very generous with your time. I would love to have you back at another point.
Happy to be.
Thank you so much. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add before?
If anybody knows anything, just come forward. You can talk to anybody, and everybody, I think, would keep your name out of it, your name anonymous. I'm sure that applies to you, and
Yes.
certainly applies to me. And I know that the family is still very invested in seeing this case solved, and basically know what happened to Stephen. And I think everybody wants that. So if you know anything, call the police or call somebody who's been working on it.
Thank you so much for checking out this update of the Stephen Koecher case. If you have any information on the disappearance of Stephen Koecher, please contact me, the Unfound Podcast, or the Henderson Police Department. I am offering a personal reward of $2,000 for any information that would help lead to the discovery of what happened to Stephen Koecher. Thanks again for watching, and please subscribe for future updates on my further investigations into the disappearance of Stephen Koecher.